Welcome to the beginning of Algebra 2. Today we're going to be learning about equations and expressions. For the first couple of videos, we're going to be learning about the first basic topic in Algebra 2, equations and inequalities. Today we're going to be learning the main points of equations and expressions. The differences are, equations have the equal sign. So if you see 3 equals 3, this is an equation. But if you only see 3, no equal sign, this is an expression. For now, we're going to look at some examples of these two and how we can solve them. Let's get an example of an equation. Let's try 7x plus 3 equals 24. We're going to learn how to solve equations like this. Equations have this equal sign for a reason. This means the equation is equal on both sides. That means they're the same value, like a scale. If you put 5 pounds here, or if you put 5 kilograms here, you must put 5 kilograms here. So we must have equal on both sides. If we take something away from here or add something, we must do it on the same side for this scale to be the equal. So let's just start doing this. We're going to have to get this x alone. That's the whole point of this x equation. We're going to be learning how to get this x isolated and solved. So first of all, how are we going to get rid of that 3 before we start anything? We can, since this is combined with 7x with addition, we can get rid of it using subtraction. So let me just switch my color. We will subtract it by 3 to get rid of this. We're going to get rid of this addition with subtraction. We're going to do the same thing with division and multiplication in just a second. So we'll subtract by 3. This will cancel out, and this will be 21. Let's go back to our original color, equals 7x. So now we have 7x equals 21. We just got rid of that 3, and you can see 24 is not 21 after we subtracted more of the 3. How are we going to get rid of this 7 though? The 7 is combined to x with multiplication. If we want to get rid of it, we're going to have to do the exact opposite, division. So 7x, let me switch my color, 7x, we're going to have to get rid of it using division. So we're going to divide it by 7. The reason we're dividing it by 7 and not by any other number is because 7 divided by 7 is equal to 1, and those cancel out. So we're going to do the same thing on both sides to keep it equal. Then we get x, let me just get back here, x is equal to 21 over 7. And we can simplify this even further. If we do 21 divided by 7, this will equal to 3. So basically, the answer to x over here, x is equal to 3. So we solved this equation, and we managed to get 3 out of it. But not all equations will have perfect answers like 3. Sometimes you can't even solve for equations. But for now, let's figure out another problem. Let's just erase everything and move on to the next problem. Our next problem, let me get a different color. Here we go. Our next problem will be 5x plus 9 equals 5. Same thing, we cannot get rid of this until we get rid of this 9 here. So how are we going to get rid of that 9? We're going to get rid of this 9 using subtraction, again, because it's the opposite. So we're going to subtract it by 9. And since it's equal, we have to do it on the same side. And we get this; these two cancel out, and this equals negative 4. And in that side equals 5x. So I'll get my purple back. 5x equals to negative 4. In Algebra 1, you might have learned about negatives. Negatives are basically the distance from 0 on the other side of the number line. So if we want to get rid of this 5 on this x, we're going to have to do division again. In later videos, we're going to show examples of how we can use multiplication to get rid of the division sign. But for now, for basic algebra 2, we're going to get rid of this using division. So there we go. We're going to divide it. I used that color already. We're going to divide it by 5. Same example as before. We divide it by 5, so then we can cancel this out into 1. Then we'll divide 5 on this side. And remember, this is not 0. This is just 1x. So here we go. 1x. But since 1 is just 1, if you multiply anything by 1, it's the same, except 0. Well, 0, yeah, it's the same thing. Then it'll be nothing, so then we could just cancel that out. So it's x equals to negative 4 over 5. And we can't simplify on any further unless you like decimals. If you want it in decimal form, we could convert it into that too. So negative 4 over 5. So this, we can stop right here. X equals negative 4 over 5. But if you prefer decimals, we can convert this into decimal form. All we need to do is convert this into a 10 base 100. So x equals to, if we want to make this into a base 100, anything multiplied by 5 that equals 100, we can get a good answer, 20. 20 multiplied by 5 equals 100. So we're going to multiply by 20. But remember, if we have to do it on the bottom, we must do it on the top. So then 20 over 20 is 1. So you're not changing the problem, essentially. You're just writing it in a different form. So 5 over 20, that's 100. And 4 over 20, that's 80. Remember the negative. And basically, 80 over 100, that's 0.8. So x is essentially equal to negative 0.8. Remember, these two answers that I just created, they're both equal. So x is equal to negative 0.8 and x is equal to negative 4 over 5. These two are equal. All right, let's get a new example. Now let's show some examples of expressions. So let's select all, erase. Here we go. Now let's do some expressions. This is going to be a little more difficult just to get a sense of your algebra 2. So we're going to do 10 minus the square root of 4 over 3. All right, let's solve this. An expression, you have no equal sign. So you cannot do anything to this side and do it to the other side, presumably, because there's no other side. You must do everything equally on this side without changing the value, essentially. You're going to see how sometimes when you do the same procedure, you might change the value. But for now, let's simplify this. First off, we can see square root of 4. If we look at it closely, we can change that into 2. Because 2 squared is 4, and the square root of 4 is 2. So we can already simplify that. We haven't added or subtracted or multiplied or divided anything. We just simplified. 10 minus 2, we obviously know in our elementary, 10 minus 2, 8. Now we essentially have 8 over 3. And that's basically the simplification of this. We can simplify this into a decimal, but this is just going to lead into a decimal that's going to go on forever, and I don't want to write all that. For now, we basically simplified 10 minus 4 10 minus square root of 4 divided by 3 into 8 over 3. Let's show another example of how we can simplify. Let's get rid of all that. Now let's try this. 4 squared minus 12 over 2. Alright, same procedure. We're going to simplify everything without adding, subtracting, multiplying, or dividing anything that might alter the equation. Remember, if we multiply or divide by, let's say, 5 over 5, you're essentially multiplying it by 1. So nothing's really changing here. So let's get on with this. 4 squared, we can simplify this into 16. Without essentially changing the value. So 16. 16 minus 12, that would be 4. Then 4 divided by 2. So we basically now have 4 divided by 2. We haven't changed the value. All we've done is simplified. So 4 over 2, obviously, would be equal to 2. If you don't know this, I highly recommend going back to Algebra 1 and quickly reviewing on that. Very simple fractions. So basically, 4 squared minus 12 over 2 is equal to 2. Our next video is going to be on absolute value, so if you have any issues with that, stick around to the next video. Please like and subscribe, and share to others who also want to learn. And happy learning.